All right, but analyzing like I've been watching Breaking Bad again because I had nothing else to do. But I've been watching season two again, and analyzing like Jane and Jesse's relationship throughout the entire show. Not the entire show. I'm on episode 11 right now, right? But I mean, I would go so far as to say that Jesse was more of a negative relationship for no, not Jesse. Jane was more of a negative influence and a negative person that Jesse kind of gravitated towards her because I don't know. I mean, I guess she's attractive, and he wasn't really in a relationship. He didn't have anyone. He was kind of lonely. He needed someone to and humans are social creatures, right? Like human beings are very social creatures. So it's kind of like something people are always going to gravitate towards social things. Humans are social creatures. So Jesse gravitates towards Jane, and Jane at the beginning, I mean, she's a positive influence because she's trying to curb her drug addiction. And once you use a drug like heroin or meth, that's a drug that you're never gonna stop being an addict. You never, I mean, just like when you're an alcoholic, you never stop being an alcoholic. It stays with you for the rest of your life. It's something you can never get back. Ever. Like, you're never going to get that back, ever in your life. But you can overcome the addiction, but you can never leave it. It's always going to be there. Always. So, what happens is after Combo gets killed, that's the guy that's the drug dealer that works for Jesse. Jesse is the head of the distribution side, and Walter, he's the chemist. He's the guy that makes the meth. He makes the stuff, and Jesse sells it. Jesse sells it. He sends it to Combo and Skinny Pete and Badger. Those are the three guys that work under Jesse. What happens is Badger, he gets arrested by the police because they find out that he's selling the drugs, and they catch him and he goes to jail. He gets out of it, but that's another story. You guys have to actually watch the show. I can't give away too much, right? And Skinny Pete. Well, let's not get to Skinny Pete. Let's stick to Combo. Combo gets killed because he's in enemy territory. So when you're a drug dealer, why am I giving a breakdown of how it happened? You got to talk about the background, right? When you're a drug dealer and you're in the drug business, it's a business that it's very volatile and there's no rules. Just like I watched The Wire, I kind of understood that. So when you're selling in enemy territory, you have turf disputes, and if you get out of your own territory and you try to take someone else's, you have to either kill the other drug dealers that work there to take over their spot. And Walter and Jesse, being very naive, they thought that they could just expand territory without any violence. And Gus, he's the guy that owns those drug dealers. They work under Gus, and those drug dealers, they kill Combo. They use the little kid. They honk that little horn. That's a sign that, kid, go shoot Combo. And Combo gets killed, and that's a sad thing. But it's like it's kind of Jesse and Walt's fault. Like, it's really Walt's fault because he wanted to expand territory, but then it's also Jesse's fault because he got careless. But to be honest, I think it's Walt's fault because he wanted to expand territory, like very, very aggressively expanding territory. And they don't have muscle, they don't have forces, they only have 3 drug dealers working for them. So the fact that they were able to go this far is kind of crazy, to me. Like, I think that's insane. Like, I think that's kind of crazy. Okay, so going back to Jesse and Jane, right? Jesse starts to smoke meth after Combo's death so that he can kind of like cope with the negative emotions surrounding it. He goes back to I find it's a common theme throughout the entire show. Every time Jesse has a roadblock or he has something that he's dealing with that he can't really process, and he feels negatively about that emotion, he processes that by smoking meth. And I think the show is kind of telling the audience that drugs is something you don't ever want to get into, especially hard drugs like meth or heroin or anything like that. Now, how is Jesse? How is Jane? I would say Jesse is not the biggest negative influence on Jane. Jane is more of a negative influence on Jesse, and I'll tell you why. After she relapses and when he smokes meth and she goes back to his room and she relapses and starts smoking meth, she introduces him to heroin, which is a class A drug. It's a very addictive drug. Meth is equally addictive, equally as bad. So she buys the heroin and it comes in like a little package and she brings it home and they, shoot it up. They don't even smoke it. They shoot it up in their like little arm over here. And it's like, okay, dude, like you're and it's definitely a common theme that Jesse is easily manipulated. He's not that clever, easily manipulated, he's easily beguiled, like he's very trustworthy. He's just a nice he just seems like a really nice person, just very naive about everything. Like, yeah, he's easily manipulated, to be honest. Like, just how look at how Gus Fring was able to drive a wedge between Walt and Jesse's relationship. Don't you think that's crazy? Like, just because he played on Walt's ego, he knows. Like, he played on Walt's ego and then he played on Jesse's easily manipulated personality. And easily beguiled, easily riled up. I guess it comes from the many years of drug use and not taking accountability, running away from your problems and using drugs to try and cope with that. I guess that kind of plays more into his character. So, really, breaking it all down, Jesse even looks reluctant at first to use the heroin. Jane introduces him to it. So, it kind of tells me as well about life. Like, who you bring into your life can either negatively influence you or positively influence you. Seriously, like, who you bring into your life is key. Very key. They can either bring you on a path to destruction or a path to salvation. But to be honest, I feel that it's bullshit. To be honest. Like, I feel that in life, you gotta take responsibility, man. Like, to be honest, when I first saw that scene, like, I was like, okay, that's Jesse's fault. He chose to use that drug. Jane didn't force him to Jane's not the one that forced him to use the drug. He chose to use it. He chose to use that drug and put it in his arm, right? He could have left. He could have said, no, I don't want to use the heroin. No, I don't want to do it. But I guess that's a naive way of looking at it, right? It's a very naive way of looking at it. It's very surface level. It's not like going deep into it. What's the main reason he used the heroin? Was it to appease Jane and to try and make the relationship more cohesive and for him to get closer to Jane? Or did he do it because he wants to make Jane happy? Probably because he's easily manipulated, right? yeah. Probably just to make Jane happy. It's kind of crazy. Like, that's the episode I'm on now, and it's kind of sad, man. Jesse using heroin. But this show is like really realistic. Like, imagine that your friend comes home one day, but it's not that you're not a drug user. You use meth. Imagine you're a regular meth user, just like Jesse, and one day your girlfriend or whatever the fuck are they? What are they, like? Just two people having sex, I guess. Okay, cool, whatever. So she comes in and she has a package of heroin. You're already high off the meth. You don't know what you're doing. Your significant other comes in with fucking heroin and tells you, oh, let's use this heroin. And then you're like, okay, sure. That's kind of wild, man. Like, just imagine that. Because that could actually happen in real life. Like, she come in and she has a package of heroin and she's like, we want to use this and you want to smoke the shit. Like, isn't that kind of wild though? Like, crazy. People do that shit. Why do people even use heroin? Like, what's the reason? Do they do it to escape from their problems? But it's not going to help them. It's not going to help their problems at all. Once you use it, there's really no turning back. there's no way out of that addiction. There is a way out, but it's better off that you don't even touch it to begin with, ever. It's probably best that you don't touch it at the beginning. Marijuana is a drug that you can live with and use. It's fine. It's mild. It doesn't really affect you that much. It doesn't affect you negatively too much. So it's like tobacco. It's much better than tobacco, actually. Way less harmful, more fun, more enjoyable. But it kind of gets boring. It gets a little bit crazy after a while. But that's my analysis, good or bad. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section. I'm open to constructive criticism. I don't delete any comments. I don't really care what you guys say. This is a democratic platform. Like, I don't delete any comments. I don't block any people. Like, you want to talk shit about me, say I look ugly or whatever the fuck, you can say that. Say that in the comment section. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I get more money. Either way, hey, it is what it is. But yeah, I'm out. Peace.